Good evening, lovely spirits. It's the wise servant here, Mr. Solace. Peace and wisdom. Now tonight I want to do this very deep video called Kings and Gods. If you have an ear and a conscience of your own, use them together. Because this video is very important. It's detrimental to your physical life as well as your spirit's life, whether you believe in that or not. Now, you have gods and you have kings. And it's been this way for millennia. Kings rule over the land, and the people of the land are under the king's rulership. And each land or country has its religion and its god that is attached to it. And the people of the land believe in the religion and the god. And they believe or fear the ruler of the land. Now, at some point in time, men acquired a certain amount of knowledge to where they begin to realize that what we call physical life and spiritual life, meaning life and death, at some point in time, they realized that there's no separation between these two things. One transcends into the other. And men begin to realize this. Men live physically, then they die, and their spirit remains on in the same realm, but in the spiritual aspect of it. So men begin to realize, okay, life and death is one thing and it transcends. There's no stop or beginning and end, but it transcends. The life transcends into the death. And when men begin to realize this, kingship was passed down. Grasp. If I'm king over the land, when I die, my child will rule in my place. And he will profess to the people of the land that he is the Son of God, and I will be God now. Now I will be a dead man, which is a spirit, living in that realms of life. And I will find my place in that realm of life, just like a man finds his place in the physical, and I will make that place my place. And now my son, who is still in the physical, he will send the spirits of those he rule over to me. So the physical king rules over the physical people, and he does this because of his father, or the king that came before him. And in the king that came before him honor, he professes him as God. And a religion is tied or attached to this God. And this is what's given to the people. The king gives this to the people. And he rules over them physically, and the God rules over them spiritually, consciously. You consciously believe in God, and you physically believe in a president or a leader or a ruler over yourself. That makes you a slave. Now, you've never thought of this, but you see how it happens to you in the physical, and you're ruled over by whatever leader of whatever country you live in? And you're ruled over physically. And consciously, you believe in the God, and you're ruled over through that aspect as well. Therefore, when you die and the physical body is no more and you're a spirit, you will belong to that God the same way you belong to the king of the land you live on. You will belong to that God in his realms in the physical, or his place. No different. Spiritual, physical, got land on both. So you have to grasp the spiritual is just less condensed, meaning less solid than the physical. So the spirit within the man, the spirit body within a man, it's less dense, less solid. It's more gassy, astral. But a fog, or a cloud as well. It's gassy, or foggy, astral. But a spirit would walk on a cloud like hard, firm ground, being as though it's compatible. So this is what I mean by, the spirit realm and the physical realm. They're one and the same. They're attached. It transcends. So the king gives the people the God to believe in. Therefore, when the people die, now the God can have people to rule over. Now, like I said, men begin to realize that life and death, there's no separation, but it transcends. So the kings of the past, they understood inheritance. I can rule life physically and spiritually, me being as though physical life or in death, which we call unphysical life, are one and the same. If I rule over life physically, I can rule it unphysically as well. Meaning, if I rule it in physical body, I can rule it in spirit. No different. Once men begin to realize that, meaning life transcends into death. If I rule physically, I can rule spiritually as well. This is when inheritance was born. Because this is the only way you can accomplish that. See, in order for spirits to go to the dead king, which would be God in the spirit realms, in order for that to happen, they must believe in the God physically. Meaning, when they live physically, they must consciously believe in the God before death. Because you are your conscious. Now, how does a dead man, a spirit that was a king over men, how does he get physical men to believe in him, even though he's dead? Through his heir. Inheritance. So once his son rules in his place, his son can instill his name as God to the people, explaining the spiritual life. And when they die, they will go to this God, and so on and so forth. And now it's instilled in the people's conscious. So now when they die, the spirits will go to the dead king, who is now God in the spiritual realm. And they will go to his place. And just like there's many kings in the physical, there's many kings in many different places in what we would call the spiritual side of life. And people will go to their place spiritually, willingly, the same way men go to countries to be citizens willingly. Men come to America willingly to be citizens, to work the land, to live there. No one thinks to get their own land. There's no Wi-Fi there. There's no light, gas, water hookup on your own land. So everyone wants to go to the city that's ruled over by the king or the president or whatever you want to call it. So it's a deep thing. But like I said, when men begin to grasp that life and death transcends, men realize I can rule physically and spiritually. I can rule every aspect of the life forever. So you have to grasp a man's son or his child, his daughter. This is him. So grasp. When a man dies and his son rules in his place and gives them the God, which is him, this is all him. Still ruling physically, and he's still ruling in spirit. When his son dies and he's in spirit, this is just one being. Grasp. It's a deep thing. It's just truly one spirit. Reigning. So y'all have many gods that are truly just one God. It's called offspring. It's called physical and unphysical, or what y'all call life and death. And we all know kings are kings through inheritance most of the time. So I want you to think, how far back do you think the kingship goes, the inheritance? All the way into ancient times. Kings and rulers of today tie back to ancient kings, which are gods of today. So the ancient men of the past are gods in today. Jesus was the ancient man of the past. He's a god of today. Some of you say he wasn't no real person. Whatever. A fake person of the past is a god of today. So you have to grasp, the great men of the past, the kings, are the gods in today. And the kings that predated them were the gods in their day. And the king knows the truth, because this was passed down to him. This is the secrets of rulership, of life. Ruling life. This is the secrets of how one rules life. Through inheritance. You take over the land. You take over the people on the land. And you enslave them. And when you die, you leave your son in your place. And he will profess you as God to the people. And they don't know you, because most of the people you ruled over, they died in your time. And those are your spirits in death, and it's a deep thing. And your son rules in your place, and he professes you as God, and instills this into the people's brain. And he rules over them physically because of you. You left that to him. He owes you. He professes you as God. It's a pact. I'll rule over them physically because of your blessing, and I will send them spiritually to you to rule over. So the kingship remains on every plateau and realm of life, whether physical or spiritual. It's a deep, deep, deep thing if you can grasp what I'm saying. It's so cold-blooded. Many of you will die and be ruled over by the forefathers of he who physically rules you now. Grasp how deep that is. The ruling king of your country inherited it. And he rules over you physically. And when you die, the God you believe in is truly his ancestor. A physical, walking, talking man that was a king in his day. And it was passed down to him too. So it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. This is why all y'all gods and y'all religions are like men. Because that's what they are. I want y'all to grasp. Spirits are men. Nobody. So grasp. We kind of think things are like, no, God is in the spirit. So then that means God was a man. Because dead men become spirit. Well, not become, but spirit is within the body. When the body goes, the spirit's left. If God is in spirit, and a religion speaks as if God is the unseen or in the spirit, well, there you have it. The creator of worlds. Worlds are created by men. Grasp. Your city that you live in, created by man. When I say created, the ground you walk on, the buildings you live in, the weather you have there, all man-controlled, man-made. The ground you walk on, it's the dead that was here before you. The rocks, fossils, rocks, same thing. Dead bodies. Living organisms that's been dead and buried and fossilized. This is all a rock is. And the longer it's been that way, the harder it'll be when it resurfaces. So it's a simple, deep thing. Every aspect of the physical life comes from the physical beings in it. And within all physical beings, you have the source of life, or the energy within, or the spirit. And when the body goes, the spirit still remains in grasp. You're ruled over physically, in ignorance, not really grasping that's what's happening. And so it's the same spiritually. And people are tricked into believing they're going to get relief in their death. I live a harsh life now, but Jesus is going to save me later. God going to come and save me later. No one can save you but you. It's just like in this realm. You will be a slave working in the city for crumbs to live in the city as long as you so choose. And your children after you, they will be a slave to the same thing because you will instill that in them. The same way the king will instill into his young to be king and ruler over slaves, you will instill in your young to be slaves. And say, make sure you get a good job and work hard. And it's a deep, cold-blooded thing. You do this in ignorance. And in death, spirits will do the same. In that realm. And that's reality. And it's cold-blooded. Grasp. The wise servant. I try not to go too deep. Because, pushing out information that's not grasped is better to keep. So it's a deep thing. It's like food. Extra food will be thrown away. You give a man more food on his plate than he can eat, well, the rest will be thrown away. So it's best to just give him what he can eat. And if it ain't enough, he can always come back and get more. But whatever you put on his plate will get thrown in the trash that's extra. And if he so get hungry later, then he won't dig in the garbage, but that food will be wasted. And knowledge is the same. I don't want to say more than is necessary because if I say what is not grasped, it'll be thrown in the trash. And then you will come back for more knowledge, forgetting what's in the trash, and this just leads to confusion and double talking and pretty much where we are in life now. But the life is so much deeper than you guys grasp, but it's truly simple. Hopefully you guys grasp the last few videos I did, because they will help you grasp this one. So it's a deep thing, but men are ruled over. You have men truly ruling the whole life. From what y'all call physical and spirit. So the spirit realm, the physical realm, you have men ruling over these realms. It's so deep. Like I said, a man's son is truly himself. So you got spirits of old still ruling. It's deep. So deep. Grasp. You got men today that You got men in today times that are truly descendants of people like Enlil and Enki from Sumerian texts. Now, Enlil and Enki were real men, but this was after men took on names of things that weren't men. So, Ea, Enki, we call him Enki or Ea, but it's really Ea. But Enki and Lil, all these ancient gods, Inanna, physical people. Now, of course, these are names of things that are like concepts or forces in the life as well, but men took the names. Men in today times have names that mean things besides it just being their name. And they truly got their name from that. So it's deep, but it's like that in the past. You have people walking this planet that are truly descendants of rulers of the past. King Tut. King Tut's descendants still exist. They may be peasants now. All depends on who's ruling that land now. But you have countries like Iraq, all the way up into daytimes, man. Those is the descendants of those people from way in the past. Nimrod, and it's deep. It's a cold-blooded thing y'all have to grasp. Men are ruled over physically, and then they're ruled over in their death spiritually because they don't grasp. It's one and the same. It's like a man with clothes on and a man without clothes on. Like a man in the house and a man outside of the house. There's no difference. Man inside of the house. When you remove the house, the man is still in the same place. The house is just gone. And so now he mingles with all the things that's in that area that's not in the houses either. So the physical and unphysical is that same way. You see other physical things because you're in your body. If you remove the body, you're still here and you can still see the physical, but now you can see what's on your realm of life too, or in your when I say your level or your realm, I mean the density. So you can see things less dense. You can only see dense things. You can't see the air. You know the air is right before you, and it's a physical thing, you can say. It's astral. But it's a real thing. You inhale it, exhale it, but you can't see it. You can't really see smoke and fog that well unless it's like gets really condensed to where it's about to become physical water or something. Then you can see it. So you can see the clouds really well when it's about to rain, because this is when it's condensing or becoming more solid water. So, but before that point, it's still the cloud, but you just can't see it because it's not dense enough. So this is how a man and the spirit of a man is. You just can't see the spirits amongst you because they're not dense enough. But they can see you, and they can see each other. And it's a deep, cold-blooded thing I want y'all to grasp. Men are ruled over physically and spiritually. Man in his pure state is just conscious. No spirit body, no physical body. And the natural state of pure conscious is what we call nothingness. just pure blankness. But nothingness is all, because this is where all comes from, the nothingness. Your thoughts come from what we call the nothingness. You were born into this world from what we would call unconsciousness, nothingness. So you have to grasp, it's a deep thing. Man in his natural state, or every conscious living being you see, their natural state is just pure conscious. No spirit body, or no spirit body within a physical body, but just pure conscious in its realm, which is nothingness, or what we perceive to be nothingness. And it's deep because men are ruled over physically, then spiritually. And if it was possible, men would be ruled over in natural, pure conscious form. It's a deep thing. It's the only time a man get a break from being ruled over. Whoo, spirits of old got the life sewn up. Grasp. Men of today ain't nothing but men of old. Because everybody you see was reproduced, procreated. So grasp. It don't matter how far back you go. Everybody you see taught us somebody from far back as y'all could imagine. As long as men were on this earth, I don't care if it was 1,000,000,000 years ago. Well, every individual you see tie back to somebody, because the life is all reproducing. So you have to grasp. Men of old rule the life. Same men of old still rule. Physically and spiritually. Physically is called kings. Spiritually to the physical is called gods. It's cold-blooded. And it's a whole system. It's called inheritance. And that's how a man rules physically and then spiritually. And spirits are sent to him to live in his spiritual realms, where he rules over them the same way he did physically. And this is done through his heir or offspring or himself. It's a deep thing. Peace and wisdom. Pasan Paset.